Hello, Kady. Thank you for being part of this today. I'd love for you to start by telling me about who you are and who you work with and what's exciting you right
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me here. It's nice to see you.
now.
And so I'm Kady Romagnuolo, and I'm a mindset and performance coach who specializes really with people who are dealing with fear, anxiety, stressful situations, overwhelm. And oftentimes that comes about in the way of self-sabotage or low confidence. So working as I'm a master NLP practitioner as well, which is neuro linguistics programming. And we focus in the unconscious mind to really dive deep into the areas that are kind of hidden that we don't realize are running each day and can pop up in those moments of where we don't realize we're having self-sabotaging ideas and things that are not to our best interest. So right now, there's just so much that is going on in the beginning of 2020. It's a huge year
Yeah.
for so many new businesses, entrepreneurs, and so many of my clients are launching new just amazing ideas. And I think what comes along with that sometimes is a lot of fear in getting out there, doing something different. So that's been a great starting point for me and a few new programs that I've been running.
Mm. So tell me, what are some of the, excuse me, some of the patterns that you see when it comes to fear, anxiety, and self-sabotage?
Yeah, biggest one is avoidance. So
Mm.
avoidance can come in several different ways. Sometimes it's, well, I'm more of an introvert, so I don't really want to go out and do those things. It's not who I am. Well, yes, 100%. There's many people who are introverts. I'm actually somewhat more on the introvert scale myself.
Mhm.
So it can pop up in ways of like a limiting belief about yourself that I'm too something to do something. I'm too shy. I'm too, whatever it is that pops up for you. And it's not necessarily true. So it's that imposter type
Mhm.
syndrome that pops up in causing you to avoid things that maybe would be really engaging and awesome for whatever your goals and dreams are, but that little voice is preventing you through fear from jumping in.
Mm. Mhm.
Hmm.
So what are some ways that, actually, I want to start with, how did you get into this kind of work? Is it something that you dealt with yourself, or how did you get to be here and working with people in this way?
Yeah, great question. I like to say it was completely by accident.
Mhm.
And the reason is because yes, myself, several years ago, was really dealing with extreme high anxiety where I was hiding it from absolutely everybody. Was working as a real estate agent. I have been an agent for nearly 12 years and was doing really well in the industry. But nobody realized the pressure and kind of self sabotaging thoughts that I was having on a daily basis. And it was really difficult for me to bring that to the forefront, just in fear, I guess, of judgment from my peers in the industry and whatever other stories I was telling myself. So the training that I went through to become an NLP practitioner was mainly because of the anxiety that I was dealing with. And I thought, okay, this is a way for me to heal and help myself from
Mm.
the past that I had. And accidentally, what ended up happening was I really loved it. I ended up having a huge passion for what happens in helping people, and started to just get clients asking like, hey, can you work with me and do this for me as well? So it was sort of a hybrid of just natural progression and doing the work that I do now for the
Mhm.
past couple of years. Hmm.
So what was it like being, you mentioned that you were successful in real estate,
Yeah.
um, but so, having an external metric for success, but not feeling like things were aligned up on the inside. What was that like for you?
Yeah, and I love that you say metric for success towards the inside, because the interesting thing really was my outside was portraying, okay, I made a certain amount of money, and so that means success, right? To society and having the house and the things that you get with that. But for me, my internal driver for what I thought success was really had more to do with how I felt inside.
Mm.
And because I wasn't 100% aligned with, say necessarily just doing numbers and figures and all of that stuff each day, it wasn't feeding the part of me that I thought would make me successful, the part that needs to really interact with people more and allow some of that softer side to come out.
Mm.
And so ultimately, it was that breakdown within myself and what I thought I needed to be successful that caused me to feel anxiety,
Mhm.
not necessarily what other people thought that
Mm.
success would be. So there was a disconnect between what that really meant for
Mhm.
me.
And how did you go from, how did you get clear on what your own idea of success was?
Yeah, it's really a lot of internal work to do with values. So when I say I work with the unconscious mind, it's hugely beneficial to go right to the root of the stuff that we don't necessarily know is running. So part of the stuff is really looking at the quick answers that our mind wants to offer up. So you can do simple exercises yourself that's not even necessarily with a trained professional at this point yet, to dive deep into, you know, maybe what your values are towards relationships or success or career. And that's just in asking a simple question to start. And that's, what's most important to me about, and then fill in the blank. So say it's career. What's most important to me about having a successful career? And what's that really quick answer that pops into your mind? Because there's some value in that for you.
Wow, that's so simple. I haven't heard it put that way. That's a great way to start. Are there a couple other tips you have for anyone watching about how to address your stress and anxiety, or fear and anxiety?
Fear and anxiety, and they're so commonly linked, right? So having a fear often relates into, what am I worried about causing anxiety? Yeah. So one of the main tips that I offer people is a quick sort of flip, and that you can keep doing as a regular exercise for yourself, is what I call the 1-minute movie. And the 1-minute movie is just, you're taking whatever scenario that you've blown out into a disaster film at this point, right? So maybe it's an upcoming interview or something that's going on that you're feeling really nervous about. Well, the best thing to do is to close your eyes and really imagine that point in time. Okay, let's do it along with me. How about I guide you through this?
Got it. Cool. Let's do this.
So you're going to take something that is an upcoming event that you'd like to go, you know, phenomenal, right?
Got it.
And I want you to imagine that you're there looking through your own eyes, and this is going the best possible way that it could. So what's important in that moment? Do you see certain things? Is there colors? What, you know, room are you in? Are you outside? Is there anybody else with you? Just really capture that moment in clear, vivid, beautiful color. Bring it to life like a movie through your own eyes. Got it?
Got it.
Awesome. Okay, so what you're going to do now is, now that you have that clear image, you're going to take just 1 minute to actually walk yourself through what are the simple steps that are going to happen before that happens. So say we'll use an interview, for example, because I know you're doing a lot of them, and I love what you're doing with this. So, you know, what are the steps leading up to that? It might be, okay, well, I'm, you know, on the phone making that initial contact. We're having a quick chat. So what are the simple steps leading right up to that initial point where, you know, after it's complete and you've rocked it, just visualize that for 1 minute ahead of time. And it's amazing what the mind can experience, because it doesn't necessarily know fact from, I've actually experienced this in real life, or it's happened in my mind. So it helps to just alleviate that disaster film.
I love that. And I think what's fascinating about what you did is you did the end result first and then went backwards. Whereas normally we're kind of like, it's just like a vague kind of sense of fear and like not knowing what's happening. But to go from like kind of the clear ideal result and then go backwards of like, what would the steps be like that would lead me up to that? I think that's a great way to look at it. Before we wrap up here, I want to ask, what do you most need help with right now?
Oh my goodness. I have 2 amazing book launches that are coming out.
Tell me about those.
In the next coming months. So first one is She's No Longer Silent. And this is just a phenomenal collection of stories from a bunch of women who have gone through some pretty significant things in life and have really overcome them. So I'm a huge advocate for speaking up against things that have really stigmatized others in society towards mental health. It's hard to speak up sometimes when you've gone through something. And I know firsthand the healing power that happens when you do. So that book is focused around that. And I also have Home of the Soul, which is a solo book that I've done. And it really hits home on my personal story. It's a bit of a memoir, but it is a phenomenal experience for the reader to really pick up on a few things to help with their soul's integration of what's your true path as well. So that's coming in the next few months.
Well, thanks so much. And anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, just honestly reach out if anybody has any questions on little tips, because I run a Facebook community as well that helps with that.
And then just last of all, where can people find you online and how can they reach out?
Yeah, so Facebook, Kady Mindset Coach, KadyMindsetCoach.com. I'm on Instagram as well. Just Google me. I'm everywhere. Kady Mindset Coach. Kady.
Perfect. Kady. Thanks so much, Kady. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.